The re-employment of our governors from Egypt proper led to our nation suffering from a huge deficit. It was simply because their new provinces weren't as developed as Egypt itself. But now, it did improve public order, which was our first concern. Yet that would be reworked back to negativity once again, as we had to increase our tax rate in order to actually have a usable income. We looked through our research opportunities to see if there was anything of note that could assist us in this matter, monetarily or public order wise. Thus we came up and realized the majority of our unhappy citizens were actually veterans of our armies, without anything better to do than cause trouble. So we placed in a motion to grant land to these deserving warriors. Besides, it will have other benefits all around. In the meantime, as we waited for that to take effect, our nobles embezzled a bit of gold so we could pay for a new governor in Antioch and establish a healer in Salamis. Maybe that will keep the pirates away. To help with our public order problems in Phoenicia, we actually paid for a second governor to arrive. He immediately helped out and ordered the renovation of 2 of the buildings in the main settlement for monetary purposes. Even Carthage was on the edge of rebellion, mostly due to whenever our ships needed to resupply, they would cause a lot of havoc. On the front lines, however, Ptolemy didn't care about the snow and forced his men to work tirelessly on constructing more siege equipment. By now we probably had enough, but you can never be too certain. They almost accepted to become a client state, relieving us from burning their massive fortress, but turned away at the last second once again. How sad. With our newly signed peace deal with the Seleucids, it allowed us to bring one of our dignitaries back into our own lands. An agent such as him possesses skills that could be very useful in our minor crisis. Still, these terms we accepted from the Seleucids weren't acceptable in the eyes of the nations around us, causing many kingdoms to despise our foreign policy. Even our fellow Greeks from Anatolia and Macedon. To be fair, we did make an agreement with them to fight the Seleucids so long ago. Perhaps this is a sign for us to seize some of their land. Macedon itself might be a challenge, but there is still some time left before we can even consider this. For example, we have to bring justice to Arabia. Junior and Jason were the first to strike, here at Chamutas. This attack was one of the most dragged out engagement we've had in a long time. Approaching from the north, Junior slowly marched towards the town, allowing Jason to catch up with us so we could form a perfect strike on the town. The Arabian ships gave us some minor trouble, same with the reinforcing army, as they posed a potential counterattack threat. During the battle, Junior decided to surround the entrance with his pikes, leaving no wiggle room for the Arabians who tried to break out. In the meantime, Jason took the long way around, trying to create pressure from multiple areas. Eventually we broke through, allowing us to perform rear charges with our elephants and superior infantry. Once they were gone, the remaining reinforcements suddenly appeared. However, they were met by Jason and his forces, who broke them, allowing us to take the rest down with ease. This dragged out massacre gave us full control over this province known as Napatea. A great accomplishment that meant once this new settlement was rebuilt, we could earn loads of money from this land. We still have to worry about these pirates roaming the seas, but I doubt they will ever muster the strength or courage to attack. Nevertheless, Ptolemy stayed behind while Jason pushed further down along the coast. As the rebellions reached a boiling point, piracy became a new hobby of the locals. However, unlike last time where they caught us off guard, we now have a fleet to take care of business. I mean, it is quite far away, lacking in terms of supplies and ships, but it is far better than previously. The Ajax fleet sailed along the coast till they reached Alexandrian-dominated seas, from where they would be supplied with the biggest ships our wharves could construct. As summer arrived in Arabia, it meant our army started to suffer from attrition once again. Our worst enemy. As a matter of fact, it was only Lysimachus who didn't feel the same problems. Why? Because he's the only one with a baggage train apparently, meaning he pushed deeper into enemy territory. A serious mistake, as his only task was to repel enemy counterattacks. His father, the pharaoh, had finally had enough of waiting, wanting to bring an end to this conflict in Gaul. Originally, the plan was to get a closer view of this battle. However, as the lag was so intense, we are gonna keep it up here in the sky. Overall, our plan was to distract the enemy by sending forth our 5 siege engines on the left, while the actual attack will take place on the right, closer to their gates. It was an absurdly challenging struggle for the walls. We did make it easier by burning their towers, yet their numbers were still extreme. Eventually we managed to push them back on the right, allowing our men to get in behind, easing the pressure on our men who scaled the walls on the left. As we brought through the cavalry, it was basically over. After the battle, many questioned the commander whether this attack truly was worth it. If you ask me, no. The Vivisci might have been our enemies, but their lands were so far away, plus they had an increasingly strong position. All of this caused major casualties on our elite unit so far away from home. Besides, our Gallic allies were in the area to take them out, on their own, or at least soften them up a bit. The settlement itself will be renovated to sustain an independent lifestyle. From here, we even acquired more fascinating knowledge regarding this ancient land. Further up the coast was this magnificent stone formation known as the Stones of Carthage. It is without a doubt a wonder of this world. One that is required for us to accomplish our goal in this world. We'll have to monitor their situation carefully, as their close ties with the Averni makes a potential attack kinda awkward. In the meantime, we'll send a hero further down the coast of our original colony to look for opportunities in the meantime. It seems our land grants reform were just too late. Syria had rebelled once again. To be honest, it isn't really a big deal, as Aristophanes was literally right beside them, keeping the situation under control. As we made a move on them, they slipped into the mountains. They will survive for now only because of our mercy, but I'm just gonna tell ya, we will handle them before their power becomes too significant. Next on our list of research to cover was regarding sieges. Having seen the power of owning a grain warehouse inside a walled settlement in Gaul, we wanted to adapt this idea into our own lands. Thanks to our excellent research rate, this won't even take a year. It would actually be done by the same exact time as Jason reached Eudaemon, the slave settlement of our former ally. Gaining control over that resource is crucial for our development of our core regions and its slave traders. Obviously, it will be less important now that we have split up our governors, so we will have to focus on several regions now instead of just the ones inside Egypt. The land grants reform also gave us access to improved military facilities. Of course, we had to build them in Demetrius, our massive fortress in the Levant. The same in Nabos, so we can replenish our armies that suffered major casualties during the assault. At Burdigala, we began constructing our sanitary aqueducts and holy temples, while also establishing fishing huts along the harbor. Damianus, our magnificent hero, discovered the Gauls were gathering their armies in the north. Kinda suspicious, as we do not know why, but we can surely guess it isn't good for some reason. However, we should probably also worry about Arabia, as Lysimachus unexpectedly has been caught off guard by what appears to be the entire Arabian army. He tried to flee, but there was no escape from these warriors born in the desert. Outnumbered 2-1, Lysimachus formed up in a defensive formation with his wings tucked tight in behind our swordsman front line. However, as we realized the men approaching us wasn't actually their full force, we ordered a daring counterattack in the hopes of possibly demolishing this army before the others could arrive. Our elephants blasted through the right flank, bringing them down by dozens. Yet this decisive focus we had on that side left the other flank utterly unsupported, and as by the time the other armies approached, this was devastating. As it broke, all that was left was the Prince of Egypt and his most loyal men. They fought to the end, although it was obvious we had been outplayed. We managed to take down one of the Sabaean commanders, but it just sealed Lysimachus' fate even further. The extremely incompetent commander finally ran out of luck. Once hearing of this disaster, doubt immediately fell over Jason and his forces. This loss and the size of their army alone deterred us from proceeding with our attack. Jason returned back to Junior where he knew he would be safe if they dared to advance on us. We can only continue our invasion once we've gotten rid of the pirates roaming outside Chamitas, which we are still to do. In the Mediterranean, we at least have some positive news as we routed those pirates, making them sail far away from our ports. If we want to keep the positive vibe going, the loss of Lysimachus and his army meant we actually doubled our quarterly income. It was such a major boost we could sustain going down to the lowest taxation policy, encouraging growth and more importantly public order. So in a way, our least competent commander saved our nation by dying. I mean, Libya was a problem as well, with major banditry and horrible public order, but we have an army nearby to monitor the development over there. I'm surprised it's even like that, as our majestic pyramids have been restored to their shining glory. By now, we decide to create a new fleet in Mia's Hormuz, to take out the pirates so our invasion could progress once again. But our available ships are way worse, causing a slight issue. We could also expand the city, which might not be of any use, but who cares, it's awesome. And this slot will help with our economy. Back in Gaul, it was finally revealed why the Arvernians were sending armies north. It appears they are having quite a bit of trouble with the tribes from an island known as Britannia. Now they have invaded their territory, taking Namneton and the Stones of Karnak in the process. This is obviously an opportunity we can't let slip away, so we assassinated one of their commanders as a warning of what is to come. Furthermore, Ptolemy hastily started to gather his forces and prepared for an expedition deep into Gallic territory. This newfound boost in public order eased our approach on how to deal with the Syrians, encouraging us to develop their housing facilities once again. They won't reach the same level as before, but still better than where they are now. Not long after, we actually received a message from Saba. Apparently they feared a possible retaliation attack from our side after they have killed our prince. This actually made them submit, becoming a client state of ours with a monetary gift as well, officially ending the Arabian Wars. This meant we gained what we wanted, indirect control over the Great Dam of Marib and access to the slaves from Eudaemon. All of this now meant we could send Junior and Jason up into Anatolia, where the Pergamonians probably should look over their shoulder. We are coming for them. Furthermore, Ptolemy didn't care for diplomatic formalities with the Gauls and straight just marched through their lands. It is all right after all, as they owe us for saving their ass from the Massalian threat. Also, I almost forgot, in order to reshape the view of everything going on in northern Gaul, we tried to villainize the Britons by disguising Damianus as one of their agents and assassinated one of the Gauls. We are playing a high-risk game now. Let's see if it pays off.